So, here we are. You have reached the final stretch. Your topic has been unearthed, your hilarious, humble, and heartfelt words have been mined and organized, and your story has been sculpted into a thoughtful narrative that holds a reader's attention from beginning to end. Now it's time to put in some elbow grease and polish this puppy to a high shine. In this chapter, we're going to show you how to infuse your essay with one last dash of personality, round up your remaining errors, clip out unnecessary words, and smooth out any remaining rough edges so you can present a perfect piece of prose to admissions. Of course, we will also address your burning editing-related questions, including, what are some finishing touches I can apply to increase my essay's overall intrigue? How can I make cuts to achieve clarity and get my essay under the word limit? How can I ensure the accuracy of my facts, spelling, and grammar? What are some of the most common, easily fixable errors people make on their admissions essays? And how do I know when I am really, truly ready for submission? At this point in the process, you should have a thoughtfully structured draft of your college admissions essay. And we're going to show you how to refine the small details within that narrative in the final step of College Essay Academy's uncommon essay approach, which we call the triple edit. You'll be shocked to find out that there are 3 steps involved in the triple edit: editing for intrigue, editing for clarity, and editing for accuracy. First, we're going to ask you to edit for intrigue. This is where you fine-tune the final components that will make that essay pop, sizzle, emote, sparkle, tap dance, or whatever else you want your killer piece of writing to do for you and your reader. Here are suggestions for how to add new features and adjust the dials to turn up the amp and add an extra layer of interest and entertainment to your final essay. Dive into dialogue. We've touched on this in other chapters, but dialogue can be an incredible way to showcase your own characteristics and the features of other people in your story. Take this line uttered by the bully in Grayson's activist essay.
"Dog lover," he yelled, snickering with his friends.
Sure, he probably could also have said, "Badger the cat made fun of me, calling me names." But with a single word of dialogue, Grayson manages to convey the hostility of the high school environment, the insensitivity of Badger the cat, and the urgency of his predicament. That's a lot of bang for the buck. Ask questions. Ask questions of your characters in the text. Ask them of your reader. Questions can be an excellent way to reiterate a point or shift the tone of a piece in an unexpected way. It also puts the impetus on the reader to consider both your query and its potential answers. Questions are even helpful if they're rhetorical because they help underscore your point. Take this excerpt from that same essay of Grayson's.
In the back of my mind was the memory of the time Frank first encouraged me to climb a tree, positioning his fluffy frame underneath the sprawling maple in case he needed to catch me. Dog or cat or anteater, is there any better definition of a true friend?
No, Grayson. No, there isn't. Be sincere. Don't underestimate the power of sincerity and self-awareness in essay writing. A thoroughly honest essay will always leave a deeper, lasting impression than one that skims the surface and avoids hard truths. Speaking from a place of vulnerability imbues your story with conviction and heart. Take this line from Grayson's Meowtube Star essay.
Unlike that of my family members, my internet fame was an accident.
In admitting to the random nature of this really fun thing that happened to him, Grayson sets the stage to showcase his true appreciation for this happy accident. This humility and real talk is instantly endearing. You should also note that healthy honesty is not the same as a confession. We all have moments we're not proud of, see the 100 bags of cheese puffs we ate in Chapter 2. But your college essay is not the right place to atone for your sins, major or minor. Trust your instincts. If your story embarrasses you, save it for your diary. Go for those chuckles, ha's, and LOLs. Think about it. Admissions officers run through over 40 essays a day, many of which end up being pretty serious in nature. The student who makes these hardworking people laugh is the one who will be remembered. Using humor is a surefire way to telegraph loud and clear to the reader that you're a real human being, or a genius cat, not just another academically excelling robot. It says that no matter what life throws at you, you can put things in perspective and take joy in life's absurdities. Remember this line from Grayson's improv rookie essay?
And then there was me, a scrawny American shorthair with a bouncy ball obsession, a severe peanut allergy, and a hyperactive aversion to impromptu public speaking.
In addition to communicating resilience of spirit, Grayson's use of humor has a similar humbling effect as his direct sincerity and makes him seem approachable and fun, which is so totally true. Perhaps most importantly, a sense of humor is something that is not easily gleaned from a list of activities and test scores. All of this said, if while writing your essay you're not feeling funny or you don't think humor is appropriate, don't use it. Laughs aren't the only way to win over an admissions officer, and being true to yourself and your voice is far more powerful than attempting to inject forced punchlines that may fall flat. Employ a little wordplay. The language you choose to use in your admissions essay can be a compelling indicator of creativity, writing ability, and your internal thought processes. Clever descriptions, analogy, metaphor, alliteration, and other literary devices are also the phrases and comparisons that lodge themselves in an admissions officer's brain, sprouting roots and sparking remembrances when decision time is afoot. Can you find a way to describe something that an admissions officer hasn't heard before? Think about some of Grayson's descriptions from his Tower Builder essay.
The third night, imbued with the confidence of a perpetually grinning cat and the absurdity of Wonderland, I built a tall, leaning tower.
Or,
on the final night, I built slowly and carefully with the patience and dedication of the king of the jungle.
the use of descriptive, analogous, and metaphorical language adds extra life to his prose and gives a unique flavor to his story as it unfolds. If you imbue your essay with engaging dialogue, sincerity, maybe a little humor, and some crafty wordplay, you will be the anti-soporific in an admissions officer's pile of routine college admissions essays. The second step in the triple edit is editing for clarity. Adding in powerful details and descriptions in which you compare yourself to a banana slug is fun, but the ultimate effectiveness of your essay is also dependent on your ability to show restraint. Remember, an admissions officer only has 2 to 3 minutes to run through your essay, so simplification is key, especially when it comes to expository passages. Take a look at the difference between these two phrases from Grayson's MeowTube essay. This is from Grayson's first draft. Over time, I have realized that while the internet, and social media in particular, can foster a false sense of camaraderie between acquaintances, it can also be a means of forging meaningful new relationships. And now let's take a look at the final version of this sentence.
While it is true that social media can isolate us from the world, it can also bring us together in meaningful and constructive ways. It closes a hole and brings us all under the same hot tin roof.
The first attempt feels a bit clunky and requires a little time for digestion. The second line is quicker, clearer, and generally more effective. Scour your essay for clunky descriptions and explanations that may not make sense to a reader encountering your story for the first time. What details can you add or tweak to get your message across? Editing for clarity is also about cutting the fat. Up until we asked you to snip away during the story sculpting phase of the process, our directive has been write, write, write. Never stop writing. More is more. Now, we're going to stop you, hand you a pair of scissors, and give you permission to clip things out yet again. We know what you're thinking. But college essay advisors, I love my whole essay, every line. I can't cut anything out. Please don't make me do it. We feel for you. Cutting the fat requires a certain amount of steely resolve, especially when you have been working on an essay for weeks, developing a maternal or paternal bond to every word and every line. But saying less can actually have more impact. And don't forget the rigid 650-word limit. So, be merciless. If you love a sentence but it doesn't further the story, get rid of it. Grayson once had to boil an entire paragraph down to one sentence. It started out as, "We learned the art of adding new information to a scene to give each other openings to go off on hilarious tangents. We learned to establish a location and provide details that added to the scene. We honed our ability to integrate props into skits in unexpected ways, or suggest the presence of an object using only our body language to provoke response from other team members." And that turned into,
We learn to accept and adapt to each other's suggestions while also adding our own ideas to the communal comedy fishbowl.
Every word that appears on the page should be specific, memorable, and deliberate. While 650 words may feel like a lot when the page is blank, you may have realized that it is actually a very small space in which to tell even a modest-sized story. You may also have noticed when editing for intrigue that adding specific, colorful words can actually eliminate longer, blander phrases. I ate all the spaghetti very fast versus I inhaled the spaghetti. You will likely need every one of the words allotted to you to get your point across, so use them creatively, economically, and with intention. The final step in the triple edit is editing for accuracy. This is the phase of editing that includes what you often refer to as proofreading. Errors are your enemy, big and small. Hunt those errors down. Scare them out of their little hiding places. And there are sure to be a few of them hiding in plain sight. Let's start by discussing the most obvious of tools for wiping your essay clean of errors both careless and clandestine. Your computer's spelling and grammar check exists for a reason. Use it as a preliminary guide to help identify potential errors. That said, keep in mind this tool's many limitations. We know, sometimes technology fails us. Luckily for you, we live in the age of the internet, where grammar snobs and language obsessives spend their free time expounding upon the difference between I could care less and I couldn't care less, for the benefit of the lost grammatical souls of the world. When in doubt, look up the rule. And be sure to confirm proper spelling and grammar via multiple, reliable sources before you implement any suggestions from the internet's many friendly wordsmithing experts. This is also a good time to do a quick fact check and make sure any claims you make or data points you reference are correct. Are you sure you were 10 when the original Jurassic Park movie came out in theaters? What state is Augusta in? It's not a bad idea to check general timelines and order of events to make sure things piece themselves together properly. Factual errors can be distracting to admissions and make you look careless and lazy. Again, it's so easy. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. One of the final checks in the triple editing process involves bringing back those Common App essay prompts you have learned to love so much. If your topic is truly effective, you have most likely been able to seamlessly back it into one of the available prompts. Still, this is the time to check and make sure you have tried your best to answer the question you're being asked. Often, a few small tweaks will ensure an essay hits the question's target dead center while preserving your central message. We still stand firm in the philosophy that an enlightening story well told trumps all, but if you have the opportunity to tell a great story and nail the prompt in the process, which you most likely will, take the winning shot. Now let's take a look at the most common errors that can be avoided or reconciled via a little editing magic. Over-vocabularizing. We know, that isn't even a word, but it sounds super fancy, so we should probably use it, right? Wrong. Unvocabularize yourself. Again, we know that's not actually a word. Forget the thesaurus. You are smart. You don't also have to be a dictionary. The essay is not a test of whether or not you've memorized the meaning of vociferous. That's what the SATs are for. The essay is a test of your powers of expression. Be honest about your level of vocabulary, and avoid the common pitfall of misusing a word you haven't encountered in its proper context. Besides, excessive thesaurusing can destroy directness, which we know is crucial for conveying your message in 3 minutes or less. Forsake splendiferousness for clarity. You'll thank us in the end. Using inappropriate abbreviations. We love abbreviations and interspeak as much as anyone. Seriously, we do. But keep them out of your final essay. Your essay should be conversational, but not to the point of texting shorthand. Think email to your aunt instead of email to your BFF for life. And if your BFF for life is your really cool aunt who skateboards at age 57 and really loves the flamenco lady emoji, just use another example as a reference. We're not going to beat around the bush here. Clichés really get our goats. When you take that trip down memory lane, telling us about the time you were a mover and a shaker, putting your nose to the grindstone, it makes our blood boil. We're content and grammar snobs, so we find cliches to be extra unappealing, but we also have enough confidence in your creativity to know that you can do better. Admissions officers know it too and expect you to think outside the box without using phrases like, think outside the box. So strike those tired sentences from your essay and do it now. Never put off until tomorrow what you can do today. It physically hurt us to utter all of those cliches. The editing process is all about diligence and attention to detail. You've come all this way, and we know your brain is tired and all you can think about is taking your bike to the beach and reading all 7 Harry Potters from cover to cover, or devouring an Us Weekly, or watching 100 hours of Netflix. You're almost there. Still, don't send off the essay without dotting your I's and crossing your T's. Here are a few last things to check off the list before you hit submit. Take a break before reviewing your own work. Before you send your essay on its final journey to admissions, step away. When you get back, try reading your essay aloud. As much as you can, try to see your work with fresh eyes and hear it as others would hear it. Get another pair of eyes on your final draft. Show a parent, guardian, aunt, or uncle. Ask an English teacher you trust or an after-school coach who cares about you. Your friends are awesome people, but they are not up to this task. Find an adult with a keen editing eye, a love of the written word, and an honest but supportive feedback style. Listen to his or her advice. Adjust when necessary. Reject suggestions where appropriate. Follow your gut. Other opinions are helpful for added perspective, but only you know how you want to be represented in the eyes of the admissions board. Pick your prompt. Remember that time we told you to forget about the prompts? We told you to lock them away in a vault and act like they never existed? Well, just make sure you remember the combination because now is the time to revisit the list. As you scan through your options, chances are 1 or 2 will jump out at you as the perfect partner for your completed essay. Perhaps one prompt in particular will shed new light on your subject, and you'll decide to make a few tweaks to fit your story to the question. Whichever route you choose, all of your hard work pays off in this moment. And you'll find that backing into a prompt is way easier than parallel parking. Finally, you're going to ask yourself a few test questions, which, it turns out, are pretty similar to the ones you asked yourself after choosing the topic that set you off on this essay writing adventure. When you homed in on your ideal subject matter, you imagined everything this topic could reveal to admissions. Now you get to see if your execution has fulfilled your idea's massive potential. So ask yourself, will this essay make admissions wish they could meet me in person? Does it inspire them to want to know more about me? Is this essay actually about me? Or is it about my skateboarding aunt? Will anyone else be able to write this essay in the way I wrote it? Would it be crazy to think of somebody else claiming my essay as his or her own? What does this essay say about me? What is the ultimate message I am hoping to convey? Do I feel good about this essay? Would I feel proud reading it aloud in front of an audience? Does it represent who I really am? And remember that scene from admissions headquarters where a dozen lovely men and women are sitting around a table and one holds up your application and says, "Take him" or "take her." When that admissions officer summarizes you in a sentence, what will he or she say? Right now, our one-line synopsis of you says, you're the driven and talented student who just finished the final step in writing an effective and compelling college admissions essay. Not bad at all. In fact, cue the confetti! Wheelbarrow in the mountains of cupcakes. Wake up the celebratory breakdancing pandas. You have made it through the brainstorming and the free writing. You have sculpted and edited your story until you could sculpt and edit no more. You're ready to hit the submit button, and it's time for a celebration. Though you may have run through all the major steps of our uncommon essay approach, fear not, we're not through dishing out advice. Continue on to Chapter 7 to learn how to apply this process to the varied challenges presented by the supplemental essays. And stay tuned for sage advice on maintaining a positive mindset throughout the essay writing process. Sometimes it takes more than a virtual dinosaur-shaped ice cream cake to keep an essay writer motivated, or so we hear. And we have some tips and tricks that will help you push through even the toughest college essay roadblocks. But first, we are excited to present you with Grayson's fifth and final essay. This happens to be our personal favorite, and it is a reflection of our favorite cat genius's growth and maturation. Trust us, you're going to want to break out the tissues in advance. Now, meet Grayson as the outdoor cat.
On my first adventure through the cat door, my mother was a nervous wreck. I was 5 months old, the son of a long line of house cats. Still, I had a wildly adventurous streak beyond the bolts of lightning on my gray fur. I always wanted to fly from the ceiling fan or stick my head between the bars of the banister just to see if I could. Most of all, I wanted to put my paws on the grass outdoors, something my mother never could have fathomed in her 8+ years on this earth. Mom was a sheltered cat with 3 kittens, and she made it clear to potential adopters that she was not leaving paws and claws without her brood in tow. We had the good fortune of being scooped up by an elderly couple who provided us with space, comfort, and loving human support. We also, thankfully, had each other. And yet my mother immediately searched out potential sources of danger. Unsurprisingly, she zoned in on the cat door, gateway to the unknown. When I first expressed my desire to explore the world through that door, Mom's ears perked up in fear. She never imagined one of her brood would yearn to walk in unfiltered sunshine or muddy up the paws she cleaned with such intensity and love. To her credit, she merely exhaled a long breath, ticked off a short set of rules: stay close, avoid strangers, bath time when you get home, and watched with lioness-like protection from the bay window as I crossed the threshold into the great outdoors. Life through the cat door was everything I hoped it would be. There were branches to swat and precarious fences on which to balance. I made friends with neighbors who invited me to feast on a lunch of freshly won mice, a new delicacy for me. When I was not pawing at wind chimes or making obstacle courses out of overturned garbage pails, I would lie in the grass soaking in the warmth and freedom. After a month of ventures into the great outdoors, I noticed Mom perched at the bay window, staring out with longing. I realized how much she loved watching her children grow beyond the borders she had known. She had already walked through a long series of doors, all of them building the strength and determination I would aim to emulate for the rest of my life. Because of my mother, I took a risk in applying to cat prep, knowing I would not be able to attend without securing full financial aid, which I did. Because of her, I will never give up on my dreams of becoming a lawyer who fights for cats' rights. Because of my mom, I will always encourage others to do things they didn't think they could do or maybe never dreamed of doing. As I was leaving, I called up to her and asked if she wanted to join me. To my surprise, she tiptoed down from her worn cushion and said, "Maybe just a paw." I was surprised as she made her way through the plastic flap of the door. She stopped outside the opening, looking skeptical but determined. Finally, she nestled into a cozy patch of grass and told me to go play while she watched. I felt a renewed pleasure in strolling on the fence and jumping from limb to limb in my favorite tree. Every once in a while, I would peek back at the adorable cat with the scratch mark on her face from the old shelter days and watch her face glow in the sun. I reveled in the latest of her many courageous steps, grateful to have the opportunity to open a door for her after all the ones she opened for me.